Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking all of my spring and summer book recommendations. I have compiled a list of all the books that give me like the spring summery vibes, and then I sprinkled in a few that I have on my radar that are not released yet but are going to be released in the coming months. So I am just gonna jump in. So for the first one, also if I like end up slouching, you guys can tell I'm not naked. So for the first one, I am going to mention Emily Henry in her entirety, basically. I think her books are just so summery. Usually her books do come out this time of year, like April, May timeline. So for me, I just associate it with my girls' trip, which is like the kickoff of summer. Her romances are just some of my favorites, and her settings are also very like summery and bright, and they just get me in that summer mood. Two of my favorites are Beach Read and the People We Meet on Vacation. Beach Read I feel like is super popular. People We Meet on Vacation, I've heard hit and miss for some people. Like, some people love it, like me. Some people like hate it and don't understand how it's an Emily Henry book, which I don't get, but I love both of those books. Those are both books that I have picked up and read on vacation on my girls' trip, so I just have like a fond and summery tie to those. They're both romances. They're both like super quick, easy reads, but the characters in there and the character development and their romance is just so cute. She writes banter so well, so if you like that kind of like back and forth type of thing, I would 100% recommend Emily Henry any time of year. And then people also really love Happy Place. I liked Happy Place as well, but it's not necessarily one of my personal favorites. I would pick Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation before that one. Happy Place does though have like a summer backdrop. It's like around a lobster fest in Maine, I believe, somewhere in New England, and it's really like a beautiful like coastal type of summer setting, which I do really enjoy. And then I also love Book Lovers. Book Lovers I feel like is a little more cozy fall for me. I don't know why, if maybe that's when I read it the first time or what it was, but that one I don't associate with summer as much as the others that I've mentioned. Another author I'm going to mention pretty much in her entirety is Elin Hilderbrand, and I sing her praises all the time. I just finished one of her books, and she just, like, she encompasses, she's the queen of Beach Read, 100%. She just does such a good job at emulating those, like, summery vibes. I don't even know how to put it into words. Like, it's just a feeling that you get when you read her books, and they're so descriptive, and they're so layered with like all these different dynamics and all of these different things that you can relate to on so many different levels in so many different categories, and she just does it so well. Let's scoot back a little bit, that way I'm definitely not naked. A few of my favorites though, I'm like getting comfy now sitting back. A few of my favorites though, Blue Bistro will forever be my favorite Elin Hilderbrand book, I think. Like, it was the first one I read from her, I believe, and I don't think enough people talk about it. It's very like Blue Crush, the movie vibes, and it has nothing to do with surfing, but I don't know, like, it's like early 2000s summer, which makes me think of Blue Crush, and it's just like, I love that book so much. I honestly might take it on my girls' trip and reread it there, because it just gives me those vibes, and like, it's almost like her writing gives you that feeling, you know, when you've been out in the sun, you're on vacation, you're on a beach, you've been out in the sun, in the ocean, in the water all day, and your skin is like slightly sunburnt, like you're a little crispy, but you're not like, no one touched me, I need to go lay down and like douse myself in aloe, but you've got a good kind of glow going on. You go and you take a shower, you get ready, and you go to dinner, you have like a nice refreshing cocktail. That is the vibe and the feeling that Elin Hilderbrand books give me. Like, I don't know how else to explain it, and I don't know how that is emulated in writing, but that is truly how I feel when I read these books. Oh, and I did want to know, I forgot, Emily Henry is releasing a new book actually in a week, and it is called Funny Story, so she's still on her same schedule. I'm hoping this is going to be another book that I can throw on my recommendations list. I'm hoping it's a 5-star. I'm anticipating it to be a 5-star read because I love her stuff so much. I already have it pre-ordered, so we will see. Back to Elin Hilderbrand. Helen Hilderbrand? Is that what I just said? Elin Hilderbrand. Moving past that, besides the Blue Bistro, I do love Hotel Nantucket. That one's really cool, and I feel like that one would be great to read end of summer because it has like a paranormal type of element to it, not in a scary way, but it adds to the story and like would be good to like ease you into the fall. But if you read it right now, it's also so summery and so just like beachy. It's typical of all of her books, but there is like that extra element in there, which I think would be a good transition book. Other books I love from her: 5-Star Weekend, 28 Summers. Almost all of her books take place on Nantucket or have some sort of tie to Nantucket, so it's similar to Happy Place, only in the sense that it's got like that coastal kind of vibe. I think that Ellen Hildebrand, am I saying her name correctly? I think that Ellen Hildebrand does it a little better because she's written so many books and she lives on Nantucket, so she encapsulates that feeling of like New England coastal summer really, really well. And then also her Trouble in Paradise series, or What Happens in Paradise. It's a trilogy. It is truly one, probably like top 5 series for me in everything that I've ever read. It's so, so, so good. And it's summery, but it's like mystery and romance and literary fiction with like family dynamics and stuff in it. I don't even know. It's just a lot of different things. She also does have a new release coming out this year, and it's called Swan Song. It comes out in June, so I'm sure that's going to be another one we can just add to our summer, spring TBRs because I cannot wait. Next, I want to talk about another series. I do have a few standalones, but honestly, most of my recommendations are series, so sorry about that. But my next one is the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver. This one is small town, cowboy, romance type of things. There are some nuances in the individual books. There's one that's a hockey player and a ballerina. There are 2 with bull riders. There's one who's like a ranch hand or ranch manager, and then there's one military and like younger age difference type of thing trope. And so you get nuance. They're not all cowboy, but they all live in this small town. They're all related. All the books are interconnected. I feel like that small town cowboy type of romance to me just automatically makes me think of summer. So I would 100% recommend these. The banter, the spiciness, like 10 out of 10. I love the Chestnut Springs series. You don't have to read them in order, but I would probably recommend you do because there will be some spoilers. But if you don't care, like if you're reading the summaries and you're like, oh, that one doesn't really sound super interesting to me, then you could skip, but just know that you'll probably learn things about those characters in the next books. If you're only wanting to pick a couple, the number one I would recommend to you is Reckless, and that one is about a doctor and a bull rider, and it is just chef's kiss. And then I did want to throw in Wild Love. This is Elsie Silver's most recent release. I did finish it and give it 5 stars. On Goodreads, I would probably rate it a 4.75. I don't know if I would give it a 5-star because I don't have like that gut feeling that I get when I get 5-star reads, but I did really enjoy it. It is another small town romance, and it's like a billionaire type of thing. I'm typically not a fan of billionaire tropes. I don't know, it makes me feel weird. Like it just automatically have the ick. But this one I loved, and I gave it a chance because it was Elsie Silver, and I did really enjoy it. So that one just came out a couple weeks ago, and I would highly, highly recommend it. It's going to be part of a Rose Hill series, so we're going to get more as time goes on. We're going to do some standalones now because I've only rattled off series. I have a couple more series at the end, but we're going to go through some standalones. First one is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, and this also has kind of that small town element to it. There's an age difference between them, and it just gives me like all the like cutesy small town cozy like warm vibes. Like these types of books, the small town romances, give me the feeling of like you're on your deck or outside on a summer night and it's super humid and sticky. You are, I don't know, like you can hear the cicadas. I'm fond of that feeling I get, even though in the moment I'm like annoyed because it's like sticky and hot and humid and I'm getting bit by mosquitoes. There's something like heartwarming about it, and that's the way these books make me feel, or like that's where it transports me to. Then we have Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, and this one I think gives me summer vibes because the story is in the summer. It's a woman telling a story to her children about a summer that she had when she was younger, so it's like summer in both timelines. The woman who's telling the story to her kids, they are on a cherry farm in Michigan, and you're getting like the descriptions of summertime in Michigan and what that's like. And then the story she's telling also takes place in summer in Michigan, different part of Michigan. but you're just like getting the vibes. They're swimming in the lake, and they're, you know, all of the feelings I was just talking about, it is in that story, and the way it's told is just so nostalgic for me. There is a COVID element to this in the sense that the woman who's telling the story to her kids, she's telling them during COVID, so they're all together and you're getting the dynamics at both times. Obviously her kids didn't exist yet in the story she's telling from her past, but it's just such a beautiful book. It is narrated by Meryl Streep on Audible, audiobook, wherever, and I really enjoy it. I'm gonna have a little bit of a hot take here, and that is that I love ACOTAR, the series, during this time of year. I know typically, and I even agree, fantasy series, especially high fantasy, like Throne of Glass or Crescent City, I'm typically going to recommend those during the fall and winter because they just have more of a cozy kind of vibe to them. Cozy, like you want to wrap up in a blanket, it's snowing outside, and you have hot chocolate and you're reading, you know, a fantasy book. The ACOTAR, though, I think the reason I think this is because I read these for the first time during this time a couple years ago, like April, May, and now I just have an association to that. But I think especially the first two during this time of year are fitting because you're in the spring court for all of the first one, and then I won't kind of get into any of the other details, but I don't know, part of me does think that it fits in a way. It just depends on your mindset, but that's something that I would recommend personally. Another series, but not really, it's the Maple Hill series by Hannah Grace, and this one I specifically want to recommend the second book in the series, which is called Wildfire. This is an interconnected series, so you could just read Wildfire. I do enjoy the first one. It's called Icebreaker. It's like a hockey romance, but the second one, Wildfire, it's also a hockey romance, but it takes place at a summer camp. So there's no hockey involved. The main male character just is a hockey player, and it's just a really cute setting. I never read a camp setting, and a lot of people didn't like it, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was super sweet, gives you all the summer, like, nostalgic vibes, and very smutty. So, I don't know, I feel like it's perfect for summer. And then, of course, I could not film this video and not recommend The Summer I Turned Pretty series. I read all three of these books in a matter of 24 hours last summer, and the show is amazing. The books are so quick and so easy. I love the first one. It honestly, for me, it gets worse as the books go on. Like, the first one is perfect. It's beautiful. Like, it's just a cute coming of age summer story, and then it just kind of gets complicated when it doesn't need to be, and there's things that are happening where it's like, what? Like, I don't know. That being said, though, I would recommend the whole series, and then after you read it, go watch the show on Amazon Prime because it is done so well. Taylor Jenkins Reid, let's talk about her books. These are all interconnected, but very, very loosely. So there is no order, in my opinion, that you need to read them in, and you can jump around, or if certain characters sound, you know, more interesting to you, then you can read those and skip the others, whatever. They just like pop up in other books, and then you're like, oh, that's who that person is. But you're not gonna get really, if I'm remembering correctly, I apologize if I'm wrong, but you're not really gonna get any spoilers that are going to change or ruin the books that you read after. These are all super summary to me. Daisy Jones and the Six, Malibu Rising, Taylor Jenkins Reid, that's who wrote them. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Carrie Soto is back. They all just feel really bright, and even though heavy things are happening, I don't know, it just, there's so much going on in these books, and the feeling it gives me is just, I just associate it with summer. I don't know. Maybe it's the book cover. If you watch my 5-star reads video, I believe I told you guys the two I would recommend the most out of this interconnected series is Daisy Jones and the Six and Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Totally stand by that. Those are just truly excellent books. Read them any time of year. Like, I recommend them 10 times over. If you're specifically wanting something to get you in the summer mood, I might pick Malibu Rising instead just because of the setting. Or you could do Carrie Soto is Back because that one's a tennis read, and I just feel like those are a little bit more summery, but honestly all of them I equate to this time of year in my head. And then one last standalone, and we have another series after this, and that standalone is Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I think this one is, I think a lot of people say this, but it reminds me a lot of The Summer I Turned Pretty, and I think it's Love in Other Words. People say it's like if they had a baby, and I have read Love in Other Words. I don't really remember. It didn't make a huge impact on me. Like, I enjoyed it, I think, but I don't really remember anything other than that. This is a childhood friends to lovers, and it takes place, you get like kind of a timeline from when they met until current day, and at some point along the way they have fallen out of touch, and they met because they had lake houses next to each other as kids. So just the setting alone and like childhood friends to lovers romancy vibes gives you the summer feeling. Okay, last recommendation I have for you is the Knock 'Em Out series, and this is by Lucy Score. It's The Things We Never Got Over, The Things We Leave Behind, and The Things We Hide from the Light. I don't know that those are in the correct order, but those are the names of the books, and I think my favorite one is the first one, and that's Naomi and Knox's story. These are similar to the Chestnut Spring series in the sense that if you read them separately, you totally can, but you're going to get spoilers along the way. So if you're wanting to read all of them, I would read them in order. The first one is very much Grumpy Sunshine vibes. And for me, I feel like any Lucy Score book is very summery, or at least most of them. I know she has some Christmas ones, but these especially, just the vibes, they take place during the summer, the small town, they all like get together and have cookouts, and there's dogs running around, and there's just craziness, but everyone's helping each other out, and it's just super sweet. And these are incredibly smutty. Lucy Score does smut like nobody else, so just keep that in mind. Those are all of my summer and spring book recommendations. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!